very simple economy. So, you know, if things went haywire and all of a sudden we had to rely more on just the local community, the local economy, life would be very, very similar.
Okay,
right. Whereas, you know, back home in that kind of environment, like cities are starving. You know, there's massive starvation going on. Right. Welcome back to the Ecuador Insider Podcast. Jesse, Brandon, Carl. Brandon, welcome back.
Thank you.
Missed you.
It's good to be back. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well.
Awesome.
Brandon came back with all kinds of new goodies. Hopefully these electronics are working. We are actually looking at 3 different telephones right now.
Camera 2.
So
Camera 3.
We'll see how that goes. We're trying out different mics, trying to step up the game, bring you guys the best content possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel. We do a weekly podcast. Carl does an amazing job putting out all kinds of other content as well. Our goal on this channel is to give you real, on-the-ground, inside information, firsthand experience of what life is like here in Ecuador, in the Southern Andes, in the Loja, Vilcabamba region specifically of Ecuador. We've been here a long time, and that's what we're trying to do. So thanks for tuning in. Please like the video, share with your friends. And so today we are going to talk about, we don't really know yet, but we're going to talk about, a little bit of kind of some of the lifestyle stuff, some of the differences between here and back home. We've done a lot of those episodes, but there's always new stuff that comes into it. Things evolve. The situation on the ground changes. Brandon just got back from a trip to Chicago, Tennessee, Canada.
Yeah. All of the above. Kentucky. We did hit Miami. Yeah. So
nice.
It was a bunch of different data points that I was able to collect along the way that were really interesting, because I was just back in December as well. So visiting some of these places in December, and then just a few months later, seeing some palpable differences, particularly in very healthy eating, fast food, but particularly there, because my kids get the same thing all the time. So it's really easy to notice when they go back, they have the same meals they want to get. So then I could see, wow, last time, just a few months ago, it was this price. It's $8 more just wow. A few months later. Or
So the inflation hit home for you.
Well, it hit home for me. It was definitely, I don't know if it's a combination of living here in Ecuador and living differently. And we're seeing some inflation here, but it's not nearly the scale or the same impact or the, gosh, it seems like from December till just this past trip, there was a noticeable difference in inflation. So it was noticeable for us, but then talking to people there, I talked to family and friends, and everybody acknowledges that, things are ridiculous, prices are high, but it's almost like this boiling frog where people are, I got a little bit of a raise, or my 401k is still doing okay. So it's like almost like they're rationalizing some of the price increases. People are feeling it, but it's not like a shock to them like it was for me.
Yeah, and that, you might have mentioned the key piece there, right, is the stock market.
Yeah.
As long as that holds on, people won't feel it the way they will if and when that takes a tumble. And of course, a lot of people feel that the stock market in general has been going up without a whole lot of justification or of basis for that to be happening, as the economy has not, it's not reflecting the economy obviously at all.
Right.
It's sort of just reflecting money printing.
Yeah. There's been a disconnect. There's been a disconnect in the fundamentals of the stock market and the financial performance of those underlying assets for years now. It seems like eventually, we'll get back to the fundamentals, and that will play a role. When? Who knows, right? It seems like we're getting further and further from that, and we're getting more and more inflation.
Yeah, all bubbles have their end
eventually,
as we've seen over and over again. Yeah, I mean, so we just did a pod, last week, that we got a lot of positive, feedback on, talking about sort of some of those concerns that people have in other places, how Ecuador, putting Ecuador in the context of those concerns. What does it solve for? What does it not solve for?
Yep.
And I think, that sort of game or that sort of dynamic, right, where everybody's wages are increasing slowly, inflation is increasing more quickly, people's assets are continuing to inflate. So it's not like people are necessarily feeling poor as long as they have some assets,
Right.
because their stocks in their house and they're still doing okay. But there's so much debt in the system. Everybody's so levered. Everybody has so much debt. It's all credit essentially. Yep. In the States, and the whole thing feels very precarious.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas here, this is a much the level of complexity in the economy there versus here. It's like 100-1 would be would be the scale. This is just a very simple economy where people have real world skills. They have they tend to live very simple lives that don't rely on supply chains and functioning credit markets and electronic currencies and all the other and when I say electronic currencies, I just mean back home we use our card for everything. This is still a cash-based society.
Right.
So it's very different that way. Like, I think if the US, if we end up in a situation where there's a big problem in the debt markets back home, or if we have a huge crash in the stock market, there's going to be a lot of turmoil, in a place like the US. Here, I'm not sure that would be more than in the news.
Right.
Like, I don't know how much more impact that would have. It's not like we're reliant here on capital from the US or healthy banks, right, or any of that stuff.
Yeah, couple of things I want to touch on. So one with, as people aren't, they're getting their cost of living increases. If you're on Social Security back in the States, you're getting your salary raises every year. And that's definitely not keeping up with inflation on consumable goods, for sure. There's certain things that are cheaper, or like flat panel TVs is one thing in the United States. You can buy a 50, 70 inch, 80 inch, 100 inch for like $500, like wow, high end, So certain things like that.
They gotta keep you tuned in.
They're keeping you in the boob tube, right? They're keeping you in the boob tube, right? So those things are cheaper, but like their daily consumables are all more expensive. So that's the part where, that's the boiling frog part, where that's been creeping, food, meat, toiletries, that kind of stuff, deodorants going up and up. And people are rationalizing it with, hey, my salary went up, my 401k is still good, my investments are good. They're not really grasping the taxation piece, particularly, is that it's getting forced. Like, inflation doesn't have to happen, guys, right? No. So inflation is just a result of the government printing money
at interest.
Right. So what they're not seeing is they're forcing the prices of your assets up
to then tax
the gain on the back end, right? So they're giving you a raise. Your house is going up 30% over 5 years, and then they're going to tax that gain back, right?
And maybe, the inflation maybe your spending power went down.
Right.
Like maybe
your real spending power.
Maybe the actual value of the cash in hand,
totally,
in those 5 years from what you paid to what you sold for, your spending power actually could have gone down, but you still got taxed on that difference. Right. It's wild.
And that's a lot of the part, just from the experience I had just recently talking to family and friends, and people are just kind of like, it is what it is. Like,
well, what are you going to do? It's the system you live in.
Right. So that's one interesting thing I want to bring up. The second one was with the debt market. So, things are so, when they're levered like that in the States, then there's another failure point. And then the risk is significantly magnified when you lever things, particularly when we do things with derivatives in the States, where there's levers on levers on levers.
Right.
And, you mentioned the economy here. It's not a debt-based economy. It's not a big mortgage industry. It's not a big taking out loans industry, community industry in Ecuador. And that kind of goes to, in the States, that's why a lot of the real estate bubbles are what they are, is because they're related to the debt market and interest rates.
Yes.
And because those move so much faster in a levered environment, that's why you have these 5-year runs where people can make 30, 40, 50% on their real estate. And then when it crashes hard, and it's these big peaks and valleys. And, you guys have much more experience here, but in my 2 years here, you can see the trends are the same. Real estate is trickling up in general, but the peaks and valleys aren't the same because the market isn't levered,
That's
right? So it's a consistent trickle up. It's a consistent trickle down in a downturn. It's a so your safety here in investing in those types of things is mitigated by not being in a levered market. So it's interesting, right? So people don't see that. They see the risk in South America, but they don't understand the nuance of the local markets and that they aren't levered. So that alleviates a lot of that risk because you don't have those peaks and valleys and those manic markets that way.
Right. Well, and what would be, what would be the difference between life here in an environment where the economy is functioning at a lower level versus what the difference would be in the States of now, or if the economy was functioning lower level, right? So here, if we could, what would happen? Like maybe we couldn't buy our cheese doodles,
Right.
but everybody grows food. Everybody uses their hands to do everything.
Yep.
Everybody has all of those real world skills. We don't have technology built into every aspect of our lives. We don't have supply chain built into every aspect of our lives. We don't have it's just a very simple economy.
Mm-hmm.
So, if things went haywire and all of a sudden we had to rely more on just the local community, the local economy, life would be very, very similar.
Okay.
Right. Whereas, back home in that kind of environment, like cities are starving. There's massive starvation going on,
right,
and riots and people killing each other, basically.
And that goes to some of the generational differences, right? So I lived with my grandparents till I was 18 years. My grandma canned food, even in the city, canned food and stored food, and had a freezer full of, from the greatest generation, that era. And now you see friends and family, they don't have, they've got some, shelf stable food. They got some snacks and crackers and processed crap, but people don't have stores of nutrients anymore. And then the shelves are, they're 3 days worth or 4 days worth of food in a 7-Eleven or a grocery store. And then they're out. So people aren't living that way with something like that, preparing for something like that in mind. They don't have, cupboards. They don't have root cellars anymore. People don't do that stuff, at least in the middle class.
Well, I wonder too, like what percentage of the economy is involved in agriculture back home?
Oh yeah.
Or of the population versus what percentage of the population is involved in agriculture here?
Right.
It's probably, outside of Quito and Guayaquil, it's probably 80 to 90% of the population. Granted, that's what Quito and Guayaquil is like. Guayaquil's 4 million, Quito's 2, so that's like almost half the population. It's 40% of the population of the country, but outside of that, it's almost everybody.
Right.
Back home, it's probably 1% or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And some of the things here, like what Ecuador offers, depending on what you want, right? If you want to live healthy lifestyle and you want organic food, and push comes to shove in the States where supply chain issues happen, that kind of stuff is already the more expensive food in the States. It's more expensive than the junk food, right?
It's true.
So when supply chain issues happen, or when things are out of season, or if there's a plight in organic farming, those things get more expensive. They're already like, I'm going to show you guys we're going to put some clips in here. It blew my mind on some of the produce that I had to buy. We were in Texas, or where were we in? Nashville. We were in Nashville, just outside of Nashville, in Gatlinburg, actually. It's not even close to Nashville. But
it's Tennessee.
It's Tennessee. All right, right state. I'm going to get the right state. Started in Texas, got to Tennessee. So we went grocery shopping. We were visiting the Smoky Mountains. We went grocery shopping because we met some families there. We were cooking. It was nuts. An organic lemon, $1.29 for a single lemon.
Right, and just to give people some context to that, right? So for here, you're getting like 10 to 30 lemons for $1. That's
$1.29 a piece.
And all of the lemons in this area would be organic, whether they say it or not.
A lime, 99 cents a piece. An avocado, $2.49 for a single avocado, and it's tiny. It's like this big. It's like,
So in here you're getting 2 to 6 avocados for $1.
And they're bigger. Like these are little tiny. Like it's like a golf ball.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like everything was off the charts. I couldn't. That's what really hit home first. Was, man, if I wanted to eat like I eat in Ecuador, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to eat all my meals in the States how I want to eat them, how I could eat them.
No, well, it's why you see people living the lifestyle that everyone has to live back home, that we lived obviously as well, right? Which is very high stress.
Yeah.
Everyone in the household is working.
Yeah.
Many people are working more than one job. People have a side hustle. People have weekend jobs.
Yep.
People are doing whatever they're taking out loans. They're running up the credit cards. They're taking out. They're doing everything they can do just to maintain what we consider, the proper standard of living, which is different than it is here, right?
Yep.
It's like people care a lot more back home about appearances than they do here, right? People here are much, it's almost the opposite, right? If people here have a lot of money, you might have no idea. They may dress poor, drive a middle of the road car, live in a very average home, and have a ton of money because they don't have the mentality here of, hey, you got to appear a certain way, you need to look a certain way, in the society. But yeah, it's a high stress life back home.
Yeah.
And this place is just you can live that way if you want to, but it's not very many people do.
When I was back for a month, and there was some vacation. We went to the Smoky Mountains for a week with some friends, and that was leisure. Then I was back in the Chicagoland area visiting friends and family. That was really busy, but I felt the stress of traffic and just back in that way of life. And then the last week I was up in your hometown or your home country, Carl.
Oh, my hometown.
Canada, hometown, not your hometown. Home country up in Canada fishing. So that was like the polar opposite. So that was nature deep dive, no cell phone footage, no cell phones work, no signals, no internet, none of that. So that was like a release, but just coming back here, I just felt more stress arriving. I had a massage today, and Adriana's like, dude, you are so, like, there's tension everywhere.
Wow.
Super tense. So
we got a question actually from Chris, one of the retreat participants. I'm sure you guys remember, asking us about to help with some of that cost of living stuff, specifically groceries, specifically like what we spend on food. But you mentioned the massage, so this is the best. There's lots of masseuses in Vilcabamba. She's widely considered the best. What do you pay for? What do you do? An hour and a half?
So I do an hour and a half. It's $45.
$45 for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
There's cheaper ones in town.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's more expensive ones, maybe slightly. But that's pretty typical. Again, she's the best. She's very booked. She's booked usually 2 weeks out.
Yeah. You can go cheaper, and you can go like $75 for 2 hours or something,
right?
Or 50. I don't even know. You can go cheaper, but she's
amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah. Awesome.
And those are kind of some of those lifestyle things that this place is very apt to allow for. But yeah, so Carl, do you have any idea? I know, maybe your wife has this information, but do you have any idea like what you guys spend as a family on groceries, like in a week or in a month or?
Back in the days when I used to go and buy groceries, I'd spend maybe $100 a week, 150 maybe, and we eat well. Like, this is a lot of food for that much money.
Family of four,
2 children.
And is that like you doing like the Saturday market shop basically?
We actually haven't been going to very, very often, but we'll buy at the local tiendas, the fruit shops in town and stuff. We'll go to Loja sometimes, go to the market there, get a bunch of things there, and the organic market, a bit of a mix.
Yeah. So family of $4, $150 a week.
That would be a good week. Yeah, that would be plenty of food. Yeah.
So this is nuts. So I told you we went to Gatlinburg, right? We got groceries. It was my family of 4. It was another family of 4. It was one father. So it says it's 9 people, and then another family of 4. So 9 and 4 is what, 13? 13 people. We only bought food for like 3 days worth for the whole place. It was $1,200. $1,200.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It's insane. $1,200.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like all, like I was cheap. Like I'm not spending $1.50 on a damn lemon. I'm not in the non-organic one.
You gotta budget your lemons.
It's crazy.
Yeah. No. When I go back home,
$1,200.
I mean, I'm a big, I'm in the health, right? So I buy high quality, organic, blah blah blah. When I go back home, I mean, I'm spending like $100 to $200 every 2 or 3 days.
How much
in
you spend
in the supermarket?
How much you spend on the vegan supplements?
Stop. I'm not even gonna do it, bro. I'm not even gonna do it. So yeah. So I mean, I think that number is about right.
I mean, if you don't eat out at restaurants a lot, and you don't, like if you drink as many smoothies as Jesse from the Juice Factory, you might be spending $15-20 a day.
Yeah. I was just meant groceries. You
Right.
can eat out and spend as much as you want, of course. But
you can eat cheap.
Oh, yeah,
out
of course.
as well too.
yeah, I mean let's give that's a good data point as well, right? So a normal lunch in Ecuador at an Ecuadorian restaurant is between $2 and you could spend as much as like $4 or $5. You can't even spend $4 or $5 in Vilcabamba, but if you go to like a high end place in a city, they have some almuerzos that are $4 or $5. In Quito, Guayaquil, you might find something for $7 or $8. That would be
And
like,
it's not like a budget size meal.
No,
it's a large portion of
this
food.
is a drink, a soup, and a main course. So yeah, you're typically around $3 is $2.50, $3 is what you're spending on lunch. Now, of course, you can go to some of the foreign-owned restaurants or Ecuadorian restaurant, order off the menu, and you could spend more like $5 to $12 or something like that on a meal.
Right, but you could feed a family of 4 on like $12, less than $15.
No problem.
So get this. So we were in Miami. We had a short period of time. We needed to get a quick snack. There's nothing close. There's a Subway. Remember Subway? $5 foot long. $5 foot long.
They had that guy Jared who turned into like a pedophile.
Oh, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, I think he went to jail. Yeah. $5 foot long. That's all I remember. My friends used to work at Subway when I was in high school, and they had the little stamps. Remember the stamp cards?
I remember the stamps.
They would just roll out. There's no inventory controls. We'd have 100 stamps. I ate Subway for every day for like 3 years straight while they worked there till they inventoried their Subway stamps. But so anyway, my kids don't eat Subway, right? Quinn's never had Subway in his life. We go like, Subway's close. It's like Subway or Wendy's was our choices. Like, all right, let's go to Subway. We get Subway. Guess how much a foot long costs now? In Miami, anyway, $15.
Wow, yeah.
$15 for a foot long sub. It's insane. Yeah, we got 2 wraps, 2 subs, 2 bags of chips. Didn't even get drinks, and it was like $85.
Yeah. I mean, if I dropped $85 for a meal here,
right,
I'd have to order. We'd all have to order 3 entrees each, and drink like 4 bottles of wine.
Right.
I mean, like the beer here, and they're big. I don't know how many ounces they are. They're maybe like either one, but like the clue.
So like
they have different sizes.
20 ounces.
They have a 1 liter.
Yeah.
They have 850 milliliters, 750, 350.
Yeah, so they're big beers. They're they're like 2.5 12-ounce beers or something like that. And typically at a restaurant you're paying $2 or $2.50 for one of those beers. So you could even sit and get drunk with your friends and not spend money on.
You know what is a cool social acceptable thing here in restaurants is that you can go and pick up food at another restaurant and bring it to the restaurant you're going to. If your kids want to eat somewhere else, you can go order, bring it to the restaurant, or you can walk in with a beer. And it's so nobody cares.
Everybody's nice. It's human.
Yeah.
It's just so much more relaxed.
It is.
Like,
it's great.
Yeah, it's true.
But you can't do that in the States.
No.
You can't walk in with booze.
No.
You can't walk in with carry out from somewhere else.
Well, not only that, it's like back home, people are very happy to tell you that you can't.
Right.
You're breaking the rule. You know, people are very happy to like kind of shout at you if you're doing something that's, against a policy or some crap. Yeah. Can you imagine somebody doing that here?
No.
I mean, like running up on you and being like, rah, 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 for something that you're doing wrong.
Yeah, my wife does that all the time. She'll buy something at a different restaurant and bring it in a to-go container. She doesn't want to eat, but we want to eat or whatever. My dad used to bring his own wine here to local restaurants. They don't care at all. They'll give you the bottle opener.
Right. They want an opening, a bottle tapping fee, opening fee.
Yeah, right.
That's
right. Yeah.
So yeah, different lifestyle for sure down here. Different way of living. Let us know. Put in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your biggest concern where you live? What are the things you're most concerned about? And maybe we can hit on some of that stuff in future episodes. But please put in the comments, what are you most concerned about currently that's making you consider a place like Ecuador? I assume if you're watching this channel, you're at least thinking about other places in the world to live. So what is the biggest concern that you have? And also, please like this video if you're enjoying this content. We'd love you to put a like on the video. Anything else we want to cover today?
Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, guys, please.
I mean, since we're talking about the cost of living, I think we should hit the rental market.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
You know, potentially some real estate stuff as well.
Sure.
We were in Canada about 6 years ago. We rented a 2-bedroom basement suite, not furnished. And that was $1,400 Canadian a month. That number might have gone up by now, which would be about $1,100 US or something a month. That was a very basic, not nice little apartment. Here for $1,100 a month, you rent a mansion basically with a nice swimming pool and a really nice house. So we have a 3-bedroom house here,
furnished, all utilities included,
right. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. We have half an acre of land, and we pay $350 a month in rent here.
Yeah.
Without including the utilities and the internet and all that stuff. And it's not furnished. We have our own furniture, but still, we got a nice place for a very affordable price. For $350 a month, you couldn't get anything in the States, right? Not even one bedroom.
Not even a closet.
I just saw my brother's a realtor out in California, and they've got a mortgage business and real estate company. And he sent me some stats. There was like the average rental. I don't know if it was median or average. I don't recall now. For the U.S. is like $1,900 a month.
Wow, yeah.
$1,900.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's like for the crappiest of the crap.
Yep. Yeah, and to be fair, Vilcabamba, the rental market is a little higher than even Loja.
For sure.
Than other places in Ecuador, because it's in very high demand. There are a lot of people that come here that don't necessarily want to buy something; they want to rent. So the rentals are scarce. So people you're paying a bit of a premium right now for rentals here, but still, I mean, we get a pretty good deal for $350, honestly. But yeah, for $500 a month, you can get a nice house. Usually, an apartment in town is usually $300 to $400 a month for a nice furnished, all-included apartment in Vilcabamba.
Yeah, and the utilities are big too, right?
Yep.
So going back also to the food security stuff, it's like there's no winter here. This is the climate year round.
It's cold today.
But right. But yeah, so if if you do have to pay utilities, your electric bill is going to be basically between like $10 and $40 a month, depending on how much stuff you're running. There's no heating or cooling costs here. Nobody has heat or air conditioning just because you don't need it.
Nobody believes me. I tell people I've been here 2 years. I haven't closed our windows in over 2 years. And they're like, get out of here. No, that's not true. It's true. 2 years plus, never closed the windows ever.
For $30 a month, you can have great internet. I usually spend about $7 a month on my cell phone. It gives me full minutes plus data. You don't need car insurance. There's no law requiring.
Need a car.
You don't even need a car. But if you have one, back home, as you guys know, like you're spending thousands of dollars a year on car insurance. Yeah. So that number here tends to be zero. Like you can get car insurance if you want, but very few people do. Homeowners insurance is also not widely used and very inexpensive if you do have it. Most, basically you're just insuring against theft essentially, because homes here generally are, there's no house fires here, so fire is not a concern. I guess you could, if you're on the coast or something, maybe you would want to insure against an earthquake possibly, but it's really just theft that's the concern. So very few people have homeowners insurance, also very inexpensive. Health insurance, extraordinarily inexpensive. For a healthy person, for a good insurance policy, like you might be between like $60 and $180 a month, something like that. And that's if you want insurance. You absolutely don't need it because you can just pay cash for everything, no problem, because it's so cheap. A doctor's visit is usually about $30, $40. You know, we had a bunch of MRIs done recently. It was like a couple $100.
Right.
Like,
I think an MRI was like $150.
Yeah.
An ultrasound was like $30.
Yeah.
That's like 10x that in the States.
right. And they treat you very humanely, and they're very nice. And you know, you go in, and they're accommodating, and they make you an appointment, and they charge you a couple bucks, and they're not in a rush. And
the technicians were.
Oh yeah, they're good.
They were like educated,
Totally.
like super
Totally.
serious, high-end educated folks.
Yeah, and did you mention the follow-up appointments are usually free?
Yeah.
With the doctors here. Yeah, gasoline is $2.40 a U.S. gallon right now.
And diesel's
Diesel,
like $1.75.
$1.75 for diesel here.
Much
So
more
very
than that.
expensive.
I think it was
Oh,
over
yeah.
$4, close
Right.
to $4 in the States right now.
Yeah.
Diesel more.
Yeah. Wages are very low here, so you can hire people. Labor is cheap. We pay our cleaning lady $3 an hour. She doesn't work for a full day, so we'll have her for half a day for $12 to clean our whole house, do our laundry and all of our dishes. You know, so you can hire people to do some maintenance, hire a gardener, fix your house, clean your house, and cook for you for very, very little, which is very convenient. I mean, my wife is a mother of 2 kids. She's feels like my mom sometimes.
You're not supposed to say that out loud, bro.
We'll leave it at that. They say you marry basically someone that's like your mother. Is that true?
You tell us, bro.
Sounds like you did.
My mom's very sweet, by the way. She's
Awesome.
awesome.
Roxy's sweet.
As is your wife, yeah.
Yeah. My wife is raising 2 children, right? So doing the laundry, cooking for the family, raising kids, homeschooling, you know, it's very helpful to have a nanny, to have a cleaning lady available. And if you're retired, you know, you don't have to clean your house very often and hire someone to do it. Anyways, so that's a big plus about living down here.
Yeah. Is there a question I get asked a lot when I go back is, what about the bugs? What are the bugs are bigger.
There's an anaconda around every
right,
corner.
right. What are the predators that you have to be worried about? And I tell, you know, and again, I lived for a year in San Joaquin. I've lived for a year now in town, and I haven't seen a single snake. I know there's some snakes. I haven't seen a single snake. I saw like 2 like micro machine sized scorpions,
which are not lethal here.
No, not at all.
right. Quinn had one in his hand, for crying out
No,
loud.
yeah.
You know,
they just hurt.
They heard like a bee sting, maybe a little.
Yeah.
little
I
more
mean,
than that, but
I've not seen a tarantula. I've not seen a mountain lion, or I haven't seen any like real predatorish animal, insect, or anything. So
yeah, in Ecuador there are some dangerous animals, wild animals, especially snakes, and
sure.
mostly snakes. I guess in the Amazon there's some dangerous snakes. Down here in this valley,
Do you guys see
barely
them?
have any.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I've seen some garden snakes, culebras. They're not dangerous at all. There is a poisonous snake that's like in the Portocopos National Park mostly, but I haven't heard of one person getting.
No, you never hear of anyone getting bit. There are poisonous snakes in the region, but yeah, you don't run into them. It's not.
Right.
It's not something in this region you have to worry about at all. Yeah, you go into certain parts of the Amazon, you want to wear boots if you're walking through high grass and stuff. But yeah,
But typically the local people will kind of exterminate the snake populations around the. You know, they'll kill them basically. So most of the populated areas won't have those snakes. But yeah, if you go in the jungle, right, where there's a lot of wildlife, you might be more likely to see one.
But I mean, you know, I've been here 10 years. I've walked 1.5 billion properties. I've seen once we saw like probably like an 8-foot long poisonous
That's big.
snake. That was cool. And
Where was that?
This was in Chiquil.
Oh yeah, really? In Chiquil?
Yeah, you know
because they have the
you know the property below the dome property that I'm not gonna say their names, but it was on that property.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
And our dog actually kind of saved the owner's life potentially.
Really?
As the dog started growling at the snake as this guy was walking within a few feet of it, and it was just curled up, kind of camouflaged. It wasn't going to bother us at all. Right. But if he had stepped on it, you know, that might not have gone well.
Those are the macanchis.
That might be right. I think
Yeah.
that might be right.
That's the local name for them.
Macanchi.
Uh-huh.
Macanchi.
And then there was, I there was another I've come across a couple of times, but yeah, they're not. It's not. It's not something here you have to worry about. The bug situation is like depends on your opinion. Like I come from the Northeast U.S. I think the bugs are way, way, way worse where I come from than they are here. That being said, there's a caveat where like sometimes people show up here, and when they're new, they just get torn up by the no-see-ums. And then
I got hammered. My calves were like.
They get your calves.
Yeah, I remember that. And now
they're fine.
Not at all. Yeah,
Not at
it's
all.
this weird phenomenon where it's like after a while they still bite you. You just don't notice it anymore. They stop bothering you. But in general, I mean, there's very few mosquitoes. You know, they exist, but there's very few mosquitoes. It's really just the no-see-ums. And at this point, for me, it could be like they could be like a lot of them. I could come out no shirt and do anything I want anytime because they don't hurt at all. They don't bother me at all anymore. Like I have zero reaction to them.
Right.
So it kind of depends. But I've heard people say, "Oh, the bugs are so bad," and then other people say there are no bugs.
Right.
So it kind of depends, I think, on how you react. But.
So you heard it here, guys. There's not very many predator animals, at least around this area, that you have to be worried about. Much more so. Shoot, I mean, in Gatlinburg, we were in the Smoky Mountains. Tiffany, I mean, you could say I saved her life, but she was just fast. We were sitting at a picnic table like this. She was having lunch. I had my computer out, doing some work. All of a sudden, she jumps up. She's next to me. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, Brandon, get up. I'm like, what? She's making me bear food. I turn around. There's a freaking bear, black bear, coming right up to the picnic table. I was like, oh my God, well, I'm going to die. If I'm going to die, I'm going to get it on video. So I got the camera out. I'm trying to scare this bear away. And then he was a little timid. He was like a 2-year-old bear, a small bear. We saw him the day before with his mom and 2 like little baby cubs. And I'm trying to remember like what the guys in the Northwoods told me about bears, like to get big and be loud. And I'm trying to do that and like, go, psst, I'm hissing at him. And all I'm thinking as I'm getting to the corner of the cabin, like, please don't let the mother bear be there. Mama, please don't be around the corner. He's kind of timid, going back. No mama there. I was like, oh, I could breathe again. But then I kind of started feeling my oats. I'm like, yeah, go, bear. And then he goes behind this post and I must have got too cocky and he took like a swipe. If the post wasn't there, I would have gotten sliced by a bear.
Really? Wow.
It was,
okay.
And then, dude, for real.
Yeah.
And then these damn bears, they're trained. They started, he literally went to every car and pulled the doors to try to get in the door, went around every car, checked the doors, got actually in the Cadillac, in the car. We got footprints in the damn car.
Oh, man.
It was nuts. So predator wise, I thought I was going to die.
Wow.
I haven't felt like that here. I haven't even seen a damn snake. It was a
Right,
bear,
right.
This
I
close.
mean, if you just live your normal life here, you'll never see a snake.
Basically.
Like you have to like get into the woods and wilderness and grasslands and like out to
And Tiffany's like, I know I didn't have to outrun the bear. I just had to outrun you and your gimp knee. She got up fast. She got up quick.
But the black bears, they don't typically attack people.
No, they said if they feel threatened, they'll attack.
Right.
So, but the only way to get them to go away
it's a threat.
is to threaten.
Oh, well.
Really. So, right, especially when they literally, Carl, like walked right up to the table I was sitting at. Like,
right. Yeah. It's an issue.
No
there.
fear.
I hear like they destroy your garbage, your trash, and stuff like that.
They were. I saw them in trash. They were climbing posts. They're really domesticated. They're not scared of people. That whole area, like the Smoky Mountains was beautiful, but it's really commercialized. It's really touristy. Really, you go to the special waterfall. There was like 1,000 people there.
Oh wow.
So it's cool, but it's not like you think of nature here in Ecuador, what we have in our backyards, and it's like truly, it feels special. Like there, it was cool. It was worth going. We had a blast, but the nature aspect was a little
like
different.
Stefan, and it was telling me him and Casey's are friends of ours. Just like took 3 days and just like got on a horse and just went into Podocarpus.
Dude,
like
you just camped up there,
like right here.
I would love to do that.
I would love to do that too.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We'll get Fernando.
Oh,
Fernando, you in? You gonna video us? We want a horseback ride? Yeah. Just say yeah.
He's in.
I keep seeing these comments. I should just get out of the groups because they're so silly. But I keep seeing these questions and stuff about safety on these Facebook groups, and it's just, man, it's so strange. It's like, there was some break-ins that happened, and then I don't know, that somehow just caught like wildfire on the internet. And now you've got people asking questions like, is it safe to visit? Is it safe to live? I was thinking about moving there, but now I've heard it's a, terrorist, hellhole, basically, right? And it's so silly. Like, guys, this place, as you've said many times, as I've said many times, in all the places I've lived, which includes rural Vermont and New York City and other places, this is the safest place I've ever lived by a long shot. Not even a close second. This place is just extremely, extremely safe. And that's not to say that there's been no crime in the history of Ecuador or Vilcabamba, but the reputation for people who do not live here and in general have never lived here, or just some of the folks who just are bored and like to talk crap for one reason or another, and there are various reasons, but the hyperbole out there is just absolute nonsense. And it just is, like, I feel bad for people, because I think there's people who kind of have a dream that has involved this place or does involve this place, and are now hearing things that are inaccurate, which potentially could stop them from doing what they want in their life. So anyways, I just wanted to address that.
I think I saw that comment on Facebook or something on some of the group. What I found also nice about it is the person was asking the question, but a lot of people in the Vilcabamba community commented, this is very safe. I've lived here for 10 plus years or whatever, the case was. It seemed like most people in the comments were kind of reassuring, at least the person asking the question, the people that actually live here, which I could recognize because I know them. So yeah, I think most people that live here feel very safe living here. Otherwise they wouldn't live here. And I've been here for 12 years now. I have 2 kids, my family, and I feel like it's a very safe place as well.
Yeah. You know what my grandma would say about this place? She'd say, Brandon, Vilcabamba is the bee's knees.
Okay, dude.
I have no idea what the bee's knees means, but it's a good thing.
Okay. Is your grandma from the South?
No, I was just doing that. She's Italian.
I thought your grandma was Italian from Chicago. How would she actually have said that?
Brandon. Come on, but it's the bee. I sound like Count Dracula now.
Guys, I think that's a wrap. We got to call it there. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to start a Q&A that's going to come out in a few weeks. If you have questions, please put them in the comments. We will get them answered on future episodes.
Live Q&A, live stream?
Q&A.
Live stream.
That'll be the last Friday of every month. I think it's the 29th of this month. So please tune into that. I think it'll be at, I want to say it was 5:30 Ecuador time, which is currently Eastern or Central. I'm not even sure. But I guess you guys are not either. But tune in for that, guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tagline it up, guys.
We hope to see you here one day, and until then.
Wait, you stole my line.
Oh, sorry. It's because you weren't there the last couple of weeks.
Oh, man. Do it again.
We hope to see you here one day.
So until then,
we'll see you next time.
Ciao, guys.
If you're interested in real estate properties, all of our property videos will now be uploaded on a different channel. Please click the link in the description down below.